Hi! You're listening to the Coffee O'Clock podcast, the show that brings you joy and inspiration, with special guests from all around the world who have an amazing story and expertise to evolve your personal and professional life. I am your host, Burcu ONARANEL, the founder of Joy Marketing and Coaching. Make sure you grab your coffee and get ready to explore new ideas. Let's get started. Hello, everyone. Another Coffee O'Clock episode. Today, we are in New York with Seth Greenwald, who is a Sherpa Seth. That's how people know him. Your friendly guide to the peak of public speaking excellence. In other words, he's an international speaker, public speaking coach, engineer, and a coach, public speaking coach for project managers. Welcome, Seth. How are you today?
Oh, I'm fantastic, Burcu. Thank you. I have my coffee here too. I'm inspired by your Cheers from New York.
I love that. New York and Hungary in the middle.
Yeah.
Today we are talking about telling a good story can change your world. I am very excited for this topic because I'm an international speaker as well, not a speaker coach, but I love speaking, and I'm excited to chat with Seth about this storytelling. How did you get into this? First of all, how did you decide being an engineer and having the passion in public speaking and then teaching others? Tell us a little bit.
That's a great question, Burcu. Great question. And being an engineer, I was often like hiding behind my coffee cup. You know, when my boss came, I didn't really hiding behind my laptop, hiding behind anything I can find so I didn't have to speak. You know, because as an engineer, I'm still an engineer, and I have an engineering mind, and I still like to be very analytical, right, and break things down. So I was never very comfortable with public speaking, and especially impromptu speaking, right, speaking right in the moment, speaking on the spot. So I needed to, as I was transitioning from engineering to project management, where project managers are like the face of the whole project. You have to be on all the time because people are going to be all calling you up, and you need to answer the question. You need to be the face of the project. So I needed to find a way to get out of my engineering shell, my introverted shell, and become a more public-facing project manager. And that's what I did in a variety of ways. Specifically, I know you and I have talked about this with Toastmasters. You know, I've been a member for now 14 years in Toastmasters in New York City. So it's good. It's all good. Toastmasters is a great thing, but they don't, and they don't teach you necessarily storytelling. Right? Storytelling is extremely important because, I started my project management presentations with very data heavy, right? Data heavy, always talking about scheduling and budgets. And there was always like these graphs, and it was always very data heavy. And people would often say after my presentation, "Hey, Seth, I liked how you presented, but I really don't know what you were talking about. What was your point? What was your story?" Basically, is what they were asking me. What's your story? So storytelling is my big pet project this year. And tomorrow, I am giving a keynote presentation for Toastmasters, District 27 shout out, Washington, D.C. And you're all invited if you see this before tomorrow, April 26th. But it's exciting, very exciting. It's virtual, but I'll be the first speaker on the virtual stage telling about stories and how they can supercharge your presentations. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
That's good. I was just going to ask you what you're going to talk about, and it is a juicy part of speaking. And I agree with you. Toastmasters don't teach you how to tell a good story, but they teach you all the other things, how you can use your body language, vocal variety, stage presence, and everything, and craft a speech. But storytelling is the very important part of telling the speech, delivering the speech, because we all love to hear stories since we are a little girl and boy, right? We raised with the stories and we love stories. We love to hear what's going to happen next, how he will overcome this. So tell us a little bit more of how you do what you do. Tell us a little bit more of this storytelling juice.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll give you a little, I know a lot of people aren't going to be able to make my session tomorrow in 24 hours. So I'll give you a little preview of what I'm going to talk about there, because, the difference between being a keynote, by the way, this would be my first time being a keynote as opposed to a breakout speaker. I've been a breakout workshop speaker for like 10 district conferences, but this is the first time I'll be the guide that they're all looking at. So the difference is between being a breakout and a keynote is you have to tell a good story, right? Your whole hour presentation. Well, I think they give me 50 minutes, right, with Q&A. But the 50 minutes, I'm going to tell my whole presentation is going to be a story, or a series of stories, and a series of personal stories. So one of the stories that I tell people is based on not just telling a story, but telling a good story, right? A good story. But what is a good story? So I'm going to tell them what are the 3 rules of good storytelling. And the story that I'm going to tell tomorrow is when I went to this old New York City, New York City, I love New York City, bar, the oldest bar in New York City is called McSorley's. I don't know, Burcu, when you visit me in New York, I'll take you. But McSorley's old ale house from 1854. When I was going to engineering school at the Cooper Union, the McSorley's is right across the street. So I had a lot of time just to sit and contemplate my life when I was, having a beer, standing up at the bar. And at the bar, there was a sign. And the sign said, "Be good or be gone." And I'm like, what does that mean? Be good or be gone? It can mean so many things. So, after years and years of just contemplating that sign, because I was an engineer, I was introverted, very thoughtful, very analytical, trying to think about it. I'm like, I have no clue what this sign is all about. I'm going to ask the bartender, right? That's what took me a few years to figure. Just ask the bartender. So I asked the bartender, and the bartender said, "You know what? Seth?" He knew my name. "You know what, Seth? All it means is that you need to be good or you're going to be gone." So I'm like, "Thank you very much. I appreciate that." And I said, "What is that? I understand what that means, but can you give me a little more detail?" And he goes, "Yes, the 3 things you need to do as a patron of McSorley so we don't throw you out is to be good. And the rules of being good are don't be rude, don't be inappropriate, and don't be vulgar." And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, well, 20 years later, or is it 30 years later? I don't get how old I am. But 30 years later, in McSorley's, I'm thinking about that bartender. And I'm like, I can use that for my story for the Toastmasters District 27 keynote tomorrow. So the 3, so to bring it back to what we're talking about here is that storytelling, as a storyteller, you can't be rude, you can't be vulgar, and you can't be inappropriate. So I'm going to go through that and how that applies to telling a story. So
I love
that's
that.
my long-winded story about storytelling.
That's amazing. I wish I could be there in person, but I will do my best to watch online if it's not in the middle of the night of my time.
Nah.
That is perfect, Seth. And I want to ask you a personal story of your story. You mentioned you were in corporate world, you are still, and you figured out that you need to be good at presenting and public speaking, but not all of us do the same. Most people struggle and they just don't leave their comfort zone to seek success or do what you did. So you have something else, you have something more inside of you. That is your calling. That's what I use as a language. Your calling is to be a public speaker and teach this to others because you love that. You are doing it and you are great at it because you're all around, and now tomorrow you will be a keynote speaker. So what is it that really moved you to get in that path? Like, was there a reason in your personal life, not just professional life?
Well, yeah, I think you and I are on the same wavelength, Burcu, because first of all, as you say, the calling, right? I was just looking at my latest book called Answering the Call of Your Creative Warrior.
Wow.
There it is. So I'm going to write another book. It's based on a series. Here's my first book called Secrets of a Creative Warrior. But yeah, calling is very important. So my next book, my third book in the series, the Creative Warrior series, is all about how to access. You know what this is, Burcu? This is my brain. This is the right side of my brain. This is the left side of my brain. So another story. The reason why I'm a public speaking coach is that I found a way to access the creative side of my brain, the public speaking side of my brain, what they call in parlance peak performance, the flow. When you get into flow is all about figuring out how to access the right mode and of your brain, because engineering, right, analytical, that's the dominant side of your brain. The left side it's always there. It's always thinking in words. It's always analyzing. It's always criticizing. It's always judging, right? But the right side of your brain is more the creative brain, the more perceptive brain, the more get into the flow brain and the storytelling brain. So so to answer your question, another story, a true story, is that again, when I was in college, and again, I'm going to be telling this tomorrow, is that I figured out the secret to going from engineering to project management, going from introvert to extrovert, quote unquote, is being able to draw an ivy plant on my dorm. I had this ivy plant, ivy plant, right? And I was the whole secret was how to draw this thing, because as an engineer, I was not an artist. I had no clue how to draw. So I tried to draw this ivy plant, and it came out looking like a 3-year-old, a 3-year-old's drawing, the leaf looked like a triangle and the stem looked like a straight line. And, it just looked very cartoony. But then I read this book, and I encourage you to, your listeners here to pick up this book, because it changed my life. And it's called Drawing on the Right Side of Your Brain by Betty Edwards. And it's an old book. It's probably 40 years old by now, but it really set me on the path to understanding that the reason why I'm not very good at drawing is because I'm trying to do it from my left side of my brain, right? As opposed to tapping into my right side, which helps you to see things as they are, as opposed to how you want them to be. Okay? So after I read the book and I did a few of the exercises, I looked at my ivy. I said, I'm going to draw you, Ivy. And you know what, Burcu, the ivy drawing after I read this book was amazing. It was like realistic. I'm like, whoa, if I can do that, because I was tapping into the right side of my brain. So if I can do that for drawing, what else can I do? What else can I do by tapping into the right side of my brain? And I tell you, you can do whatever you want to do if you learn how to consciously control that movement from left to right. So that's my story about the origins of what I talk about.
I love it.
Yeah.
Our brain is fascinating machine. And like you said, when you learn how to consciously use it, you can do anything you want. You can create anything you want. And don't remember if we have talked about NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. That's what also moved me. Are you familiar with neuro-linguistic programming?
A little bit. Yeah, I think we're on the same wavelength. Yeah, tell me about a little bit about NLP, how it applies to yeah. Mm-hmm.
It is a tool that helps you to understand how the mind works, how the brain works, which parts of the brain we have and how we can use it. Like you explained, there is a brain that is teaching you in the training. And when you learn NLP and the tools, it has hypnosis tools and other stuff and language, because our neurons are programmed by our language. So that's what NLP is. NLP is based on creating a success that you want. You probably know Richard Bandler and Tony Robbins. These people are using it. Richard Bandler is the founder of it. And it is amazing how it helps you to make a decision clearly and helps you to use your brain efficiently and really separate your emotions and your logical brain so that you will be on the stage of focused on what you want, and there will be no distraction and no enemies, no obstacles for you. You can just go for it. You can find all the sources to be able to achieve that. It's just amazing. So what you explained really talked in that part of me, because I love using neurolinguistic programming. It is just a great tool, but I will definitely check that book too. And I love old books more. I think they have more wisdom in them, and I will drop the link on this episode. But most importantly, I will drop your books links for our audience and for myself to order and watch. It's kind of a movie. You have, different parts, 3 parts, right? You have 3 books, and it's like a series.
It's a series. Yeah, it's a Creative Warrior series. It's on Amazon, and you can just search me as the author. You can find all my books on Amazon. And yeah, that's where I started, right? Burcu, I started as a writer as opposed to a speaker. Right? I started as a writer. I was writing down my ideas, but then I'm like, well, why can't I speak them? Why can't I speak those ideas? So yeah, it's you're right. It's like a movie going from what my life is like a movie. Moving from introvert to extrovert, introverted engineer to extroverted project manager, public speaker.
That's a book right there. A book title, you just said.
I think my next book will have something to do with that for sure. Yeah, because I'm still commuting back and forth to. I work as a project manager at the Army Corps of Engineers, right there, right. You see, right next to the Empire State Building, and going back and forth from where I live in Westchester County, which is north of New York City. I have like an hour on the train. So what do you do when you're on the train for so long? You write a book. So I was one of the first authors to write a book on my iPhone. My first book came out more than 10 years ago, and I wrote it all on my iPhone. And because that's what you do when you're on a train, right?
Yes, absolutely. So, or record a video. That's what I do sometimes. I record a YouTube video on the train.
Can you do that? So people don't mind?
If I don't have any other passengers in the wagon I'm in, that's what I do. Sometimes I get lucky and I pull up my tripod and do it.
I'd love to do that more. Yeah, no, I really need to do more videos. Yeah, it's fun. Obviously, it's fun to speak, but and I appreciate that you can do this podcast because it's disciplined. There's a lot of time and energy to find the guests and do the thing and edit the thing and get it. Yeah, it's a lot of. I can appreciate all the work you do. So thank you for having me on your show.
It is a passion for me since 2020. This is a gift that I gifted for me and for people with the pandemic, because when the pandemic happened, I missed people, missed connecting, and Zoom was the only thing that you can do. And I was like, why not turning into something inspirational for people, but also with informational and having the guests from all around the world? Like I can reach for more people now, you know, and everybody's home. So it was busier at that time. Everybody was seeking to reach people. Now it's still people like yourself, speakers, authors, they want to be seen. And that's what I've been doing for 4 years. And I love to meet people. I love people, different cultures, and it's always great to exchange information and energy and support one another.
Isn't it amazing what COVID, the silver lining that came out of COVID and global pandemic, on how it changed everything and how it really helped a lot of inner entrepreneurs to do their podcast and to do their workshops, because I'm also coming up on a 4-year anniversary from my first Zoom workshop. You know, my public speaking workshops was nearly 4 years ago. Yeah, and it was called, the first one I did was called Page to Stage, right? As I was telling you, I'm an author, right? And so how do you go from your writing to your being on stage? So my workshop's called Page to Stage, and that was 4 years ago. And since then, I've given a few others. I've created a few others. You know, one called Find Your Flow, one called Improv to Improve, and my latest one I'm working on, that's going to be coming out in the next few months, is called The Power of Storytelling. So it's exciting, you know, that I can reach people all around the world just by being in my studio here in New York.
Yes.
Yeah, isn't it fun? Amazing.
Just one click and you're there, wherever you want to be. It's amazing.
It's true.
It's amazing for Toastmasters as well. Like last night, I was a guest speaker for a club in Italy. It's amazing. Like you can be everywhere and connect with all the people with the same passion. That is what's amazing about it, because everybody loves speaking and everybody loves to support one another. So it's just you're connecting with different cultures, different people on the same purpose. It's amazing. So
I know, I feel it.
want your workshop as well. And if you share more about your workshop also and how people can reach out to you, I want to put all those links under our podcast and the YouTube channel as well. I want people to find you.
Oh, yeah, I want to be found by people in your part of the world. Right now that we're accessible anywhere in the world, I do like Hungary. I visited there a few years ago. Went to Budapest. How do you say it? Buda. How do you say it in Hungary? Budapest.
Budapest.
Oh, all right. They always tell me I do, guys.
Yeah, I don't know how they say it. It's Budapest, I think.
Okay, good. And I'm saying it right. So yeah, I visited a few years ago and I did the cruise down the Danube River, and it was so much fun. The first place we started was Budapest, and yeah, so yeah, I welcome anyone who wants to join my workshop, which will be on June 12th, and I'll send you a link to it. It's on Zoom, and it'll be a 2-hour workshop in the evening. It'll be recorded, so if you're in your part of the world and maybe it's too late, you know, it'll be recorded, and I'll do it again. I'll do it a few times in different time zones. But yeah, I'll send you the link, and it's called The Power of Storytelling to Supercharge Your Presentations. So it's exciting to you know, because it's exciting to create another workshop. So thanks for reminding me about that.
Yes, thank you for doing that for people who have the passion to be better at their speaking and presentation skills. And I will be there.
Great.
Even if it's a midnight. This is my promise to you. Even if it's a midnight, I will be there. I've done it in the past. Like I was a contestant 2 years ago for the international speech contest, and it was 2 a.m. for my time, and I was delivering speech.
It's true. You got to do what you got to do, right? Yeah, opportunity comes up, you have to take it. Yeah, so good.
Yeah. And your brain, we talked about, your brain helps you to stay focused and stay motivated, energetic whenever the time zone is, when you have the passion for something. That's what's amazing about the brain.
You know what? I'm feeling it now. I'm feeling very energetic just talking to you. So my brain is saying, "Hey, I like Burcu, and I want to talk to her more." So yeah, no, it's I'm feeling good. If I only was it, if I didn't have this and I had to go to the work, I would be feeling so sluggish. I'm like, oh, I don't want to go into the train for an hour. But now I'm feeling fine. And thanks for the
Thanks for your energy as well, because you are just
energy.
starting your day. I am like 2:30 p.m. right now, but I feel energized by your
Yeah.
energy too.
Oh, thanks a lot. And of course we also our coffee is energy too.
Yes,
But
always,
cheers.
anytime. Lastly, Seth, what would be the one sentence that you want to leave our audience with?
Well, since it's all about storytelling, I want people to remember that if you, I firmly believe it, that if you tell a good story, you can change your world, right? You can change your life because stories connect deeply to your audience, and if you connect deeply to the audience, you can move them to do what you want them to do in terms of your message. Your call to action. What do you want your audience to do after you speak? And it doesn't work so well with data-heavy presentations. It works with stories, and stories are powerful, and they can change your world. And I haven't told you my story about how I became a project manager just by telling one story. I'll tell you that the next interview we have, but that's a story I'm telling tomorrow at my keynote. And that one story changed my life. So I want to share that philosophy with your viewers here. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And I just received your promise for another episode, because that's the story that I want to hear, and my audience will too. So stay tuned, people. We will have another episode in a couple of weeks or months. We don't know yet, but Seth will share his another story that will evolve your personal and professional life. Seth, last, how people can reach out to you?
Oh, they can go to my website, creativewarriorsecrets.com, one word, creativewarriorsecrets.com. And you can just go there, and you can email me at seth@creativewarriorsecrets.com. And I'll be happy to engage with whatever you want to talk about, whatever you want me to do, whatever stories you need me to tell, I will tell them.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Seth. It was a joy to talk to you. Thank you.
Same here. Take care. Good day.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and now you can apply it to your life. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe to the Coffee O'Clock podcast on Apple and leave us a review. I would love to hear your thoughts. And if you feel like someone needs to listen to this episode, share it on your social media or text the link to that person to make an impact in their life. Be sure to tune in every Monday for new episodes. You can also watch the episodes and find more inspiration on my Instagram, which is at JOYYBURCU. Until next time, make sure to spend some time with you and stay with joy.